Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Yeah.
So, I discovered something this week. Last week we talked about forgiveness and 9/11. The week before, I went and heard a woman speak all weekend named Peggy Gish, and she talked about peacemaking. And I'm reading her book about her adventures around, well, specifically in Iraq, and doing peacemaking. And I am inspired to share some of that with you. So, when you look really closely at the Beatitudes, they are the perfect recipe for peace, for being a peacemaker. You might be inspired by something else, but you don't have to look any farther than that. So I just want to remind you what they say and add my interpretation. And my interpretation is mostly just actually based on word definition, more than anything else. So this is how it goes. It says, now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the mountainside and sat down, and his disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. And he said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So, blessed are is that, just that phrase is translated as regarded with awe. So, regarded awe are those who are humble and willing, and the new world will be theirs. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Regarded with awe and respect are those who mourn for the persecution and suffering of others, for they will find inner peace. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Regarded with awe and respect are those who are patient, humble, and gentle, and they will become the rulers of the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Regarded with awe and respect are those who live by their morals and values. Those who are good will be whole. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. Regarded with awe and respect are those who are compassionate, kind, forgiving. They will also be shown compassion, kindness, and forgiveness, because what goes around comes around. So we put out mercy, we receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Regarded with awe and respect are those who follow their heart, for they will find unconditional love and God. Blessed are the peacemakers, and today we're talking about peace. So blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Regarded with awe and respect are those who act in ways that create God's world, because they're acting like God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Regarded with awe and respect are those who are courageous enough to do what is right, who are compassionate, kind, and forgiving, and they will be given they will help live in and create God's dominion-free world, or domination-free world. Blessed are you. Well, and then he goes on and he does these other really cool ones. And they were so perfect, I wanted to add them, because he says, blessed are you. Well, he said or he didn't say. It doesn't matter. They're really good. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted. In the same way they persecuted the prophets who came before you. So in other words, don't worry about it. If you follow my teaching, people are going to not like what you say. That's okay. Follow it anyway, because you're doing the right thing and you're changing the system. So heaven is the reward, but this new world this new quantum world is the reward, because you're helping create it. And I really love the part where he throws in, all those people who came before you, they had the same trouble. So it's really simple. It's like, okay, just do it. What you're doing, what you're creating is worth doing. And just remember that a lot of people had to do that also. And then the salt part. You're the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be salty again? You're no longer good for anything. These are really harsh words. Except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. So salt is a very valuable commodity. So so you're a very valuable commodity. But once you water yourself down, once you water your most powerful version down, you're not worth much anymore as a peacemaker. And once you compromise your values and your mission, and we got to move on to somebody else who didn't. And you're the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. This one's really easy. The town is, your consciousness, once it's built on a high hill, use it. You've got it. Use it. You're this incredible light. Use it, and use it for something really good. Because what it does is it lights up darkness everywhere it goes. It lights up everything. So use that. So actually, the first tool of peacemaking is exactly what we just talked about. Deciding what it is that is your motivation for creating peace to begin with. What inspires you? What will you fall back on when peacemaking gets difficult? What scripture, what quote, what idea, what philosophy? What is it that motivates you to become a peacemaker in the world? That's the first thing you have to know. And you have to know it well enough to repeat it in your head. Because peacemaking comes in every single moment. Christian peacemakers, it's, I would guess, hands down, some scriptural quote. Every great master that ever lived, secular or otherwise, that were, attached to a specific religion or just some guru who kind of taught it all, said amazing quotes about why it's important to be a peaceful person and what peace brings to the whole. You have to first find out your inspiration. So I want you to close your eyes for a second. I want everybody to just close your eyes. Just take a deep breath in. Breathe out. And just see if that motivation comes to your mind. What is it? What is it that you would hang on to? What is it that you know? What is it that's there that says, this is what I must do? Maybe it's a life experience, maybe it's a story, maybe it's words of wisdom someone told you. And maybe you don't know in this moment. Okay, take another deep breath in and then let's open our eyes. If you don't know in this moment, and you espouse the words out into the world that says, I want to be a peacemaker, I invite you to figure it out. Because if you have nothing to hold on to when it gets ugly, you will no longer be capable of being a peacemaker. That thing in your heart that anchors you to the commitment of doing it must be at your reach. We talked about what I said we were going to talk about today is the Peacemaker's Toolbox. This will be the first tool. And it will be the first tool that you always will reach for when conflict comes, because it will be the thing that motivates your being in that position in the first place. The second thing in your toolbox is going to be your commitment. This is so exciting. So, it's going to be your commitment. We have commitments. It's the promise that you make. And when you make that promise, when you make a commitment or a promise to yourself and to the people around you, you're far more likely to keep it than if you just said, oh yeah, of course I'm a peacemaker. Of course I'm always trying to make peace with things. But when you have it in words and in writing, and it actually says, listen carefully to others, especially those who you disagree with, and you have this writing and this reminder, and you say, you know what, I am going to do this. This is the person I want to be. It's far more powerful than just going, well, duh, wouldn't be if I wasn't a peacemaker. Well, duh, yeah, you might be. What does that mean? What does that commitment really mean? It means that I am going to choose peace over being right. I am going to choose peace over the need to be heard. I am going to choose peace over the need to stroke my ego. And when I've messed that up, I am going to make humble amendments to the people that I messed that up with. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to attempt every time to make right what I made wrong. And that does not mean that you don't confront unjust situations. It means you confront them in love. So I didn't tell Becky this, but Becky's going to be my person today. So Becky, come up here. So, over and over, we're going to stand for what we believe, but we're going to stand for it in love, because there's a difference of ways to do that. So Becky really loves war. And
Becky really loves you.
Becky really loves war, and I don't. So give me your best pro-war thinking statement.
We have to protect ourselves. There are lots of people out there that want to get us. They're all they never sleep. They're always after us all the time.
That's pretty scary. You know, I just don't have that kind of fear. I don't have that sense about people. But apparently, you know, you do. Maybe you've had experiences. Okay, right there. I'm in a dialogue with her. We're not in agreement. We're never going to be. But I could say, you're just an insane killer. You warmonger. Okay, you can sit down for now. But, so, we can disagree. We can always disagree. And so this isn't about disagreement. It's about how do we handle ourselves in the midst of all of these things. So if you are wanting and willing and ready, I'm going to pass out these pledges. I don't need to sign them now, but I'm going to I'm not going to pass them out to you until we're done with the talk. They're so cool though. So they have this little cool peace sign on them, and they have all this cool stuff. We're going to create a giant one, and it's going to hang in the foyer, and we're going to have the opportunity to all sign a date below it. And for everybody that ever walks in the door that is in agreement with those peacemaking ideas can sign that, and we'll just have it there all the time. And you have to remember, in peacemaking strategies, nothing works all the time. As in within anything in life. Nothing works every single time. But we do the things that we do based on the fact that people normally respond in a certain way pretty much most of the time. So we've got our first tool, which is our motivation. Our second tool, which is our commitment to our motivation. And then we're going to move on to, well, how we actually can be with people in the midst of behavior. So we're going to do the first one, and it's one that you know, and it's one that you're going to go, oh, that's disgusting. So come back up here, Becky. It's repeating back to people what you hear. So now, not in this nice, sweet, friendly way like you try to do with someone you love. Not in like, oh honey, I think that you're saying that. No, it's not like that. So Becky is going to be some kind of protester. She's going to have a lot of energy, and she's going to be saying strong things about something. And I'm going to be in disagreement with it. And I'm going to just show you how you say it back, because I'm not going to say back exactly what Becky says, because you know how people do that to you? It's kind of insulting. Like, I hear you say, it's not going to be like that. Okay, go. Protest something.
I really don't think that we have room in the foyer to hang something else.
I have to say that it is much harder to make these things work with you guys than some people. That's okay. That's okay. So, go ahead, say that again.
I don't think we have room in the front to hang something else. Looking at all the taking those. We got John Lennon. What are we going to take down?
I think that you're worried that it's not going to look good in there, or it's going to be too crowded.
I'm worried that it's going to be too crowded. You're right.
And so maybe we should go out there and look.
Okay.
No, don't say okay. Keep fighting me. Keep fighting me on it. Keep fighting me on it.
Good idea. I don't know. I can picture. I've been out there a million times. I can picture what it looks like, and it'll be crazy.
Well, maybe it won't be as crazy as you think it'll be.
But we got to have it low enough where people can sign it. They got to be able to read it. Where are we going to put it?
And I feel like this is feeling stressful to you.
It is feeling very stressful. I don't want this place to look like a garage sale. I repeated back to her, when she said stress, I went for stress. When she said I went for that, I didn't repeat back to her exactly what she said to me, because that's just sort of like insulting. But actually, what she did was, when I said, I don't even remember what it was, early on, and she said, okay, let's go look at it, that's really the response you're working towards with someone who's really incredibly angry. If you're not being defensive with them, and you're not trying to prove your point with them, but you're trying to simply listen to them, they're going to start eventually feeling like, wow, I got heard. They're hearing me. Oh my God, they're hearing me. So energetically, nobody may ever change their mind, but the energy starts to sift down. And it starts to sift down in a way that you might actually be able to have just a conversation. And the person might be able to explain to you why. Remember when I talked last week and I said that have any of us ever decided to find out why there are, angry young Muslims in the world that hate this country? Have you ever done any research about why? Well, you can't heal a problem without knowing why the person's hurting. You can't, it's like offering oranges when they want apples. If you don't care enough to know why they're hurting, they get real quickly that you don't care at all about what's going on. And you're not the person that they're going to want to try to work it out with. You're never going to be a voice that they care about listening to or interacting with. So it's about getting the energy level down, just repeating back to someone, no defensiveness. And so finally they're like, yeah, that's what's happening. And then it feels really bad to me, and they start to open up to a conversation. When people listen, we believe that they care, and we're no longer seeing them through the eyes of the enemy. So I want you to turn to someone next to you, because you're going to practice this. I'm not going to waste much time on it, because apparently you're not going to be very good at this, guys. All right, so I want to find somebody be an A person, somebody be a B person. The A people. A stands for angry. Don't make it up. It's not like you haven't seen anger somewhere before.
No.
So A person's the angry person. The B person is the listener who is going to say back to you what you hear, what you hear them saying. You're going to have 30 seconds, and then we're going to switch roles. All right? So that everybody gets a chance to start to do this repeating back, and everybody gets a chance then to, everybody gets a chance to be angry this morning. All right. So, A, angry person, you're going to start on your list, whatever you want, whatever you're angry about, make it up. Popsicle sticks that are not plastic. I don't care. Whatever you want to be angry about, and the other person's going to repeat back to you what they hear you say. 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you to switch. Okay, angry people, go.
person, repeat back to them what you hear them say. Switch roles. Now you're only repeating back to them what you hear them say. Alright, wrap it up. Tell your partner thank you. Alright, everybody, let's bring our attention back. So I want to know, does anybody have anything they want to share about that? Becky. Come up here so I can hear you. Here.
Sheila was telling me what she was angry about. I immediately went into this, I want to fix this for you and give you advice mode, and I had to really cut that off.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything that they want to share? Julie.
You can just feel when the understanding happened, and you can just feel the calm start.
Exactly.
The empathy, you can just feel that. It's pretty
Exactly. And that's what happens. Because there's another technique that's similar to this one that we're going to do. And what happens is in that, you start to realize how you're like them, how there's something about you like them, or you've had that experience. Now, all of us in this room think so much alike, and it was the same at the peace thing. It was very hard for people to argue with each other, or act aggressive, or even, I thought, okay, so what's going to make this guy really mad? Because this is a very Christian church, and I started right out with, I hate those Christians. And he still was like so good with listening to me, repeating back everything to me, and because they're peacemaking Christians, I think that he kind of was in it with me after a while. But what happens is when you can get that energy to just calm itself down, and someone believes they're listening, to you, you can start to express more about your feelings and how this makes you feel and how it affects your life. Peggy says, "Oh, go ahead."
I was going to say, I was losing the point pretty quickly because, right away, he expressed, and I right away.
You agreed with him,
I
probably.
agreed with him.
Yeah.
So there was no.
Well, that can happen.
So I was trying to create this.
Oftentimes the goal is the same. It's the avenue by which people believe that we need to get there. I mean, there's things happening in our world right now that the result, we all want the same result. There's just a way different mindset about how you're going to get that result. And so, you can find common ground often, and at least you can get people calm enough to talk to them. So, Peggy says that that listening is one of the most critical parts about being a peacemaker, and that she spends a good deal of her time listening to people in the war-torn countries she goes to, and in the team of people that are with her. They have to do a lot of listening. So there's something else now called an interrupting technique. And interrupting is something like, remember when we talked about the things that Jesus taught about how you carry the pack the extra mile to throw them off? Psychologically throw them off, or you give the cloak to the guy in court and say, here, take it all, and I'm going to go home naked. And it just throws off. It just throws off everything. And so do a lot of these interrupting techniques, just throw off everything. Peggy tells a story about her husband being, and I won't get this perfectly right, but being in some public place, and there's this man intimidating this woman and acting like he's going to hit her. He's screaming at her, and all this stuff's going on, and it's like in a parking lot at Walmart. And he goes up, and he just stands there patiently with his hands behind his back and waits till the man stops screaming at her. And then he puts his face right in that guy's face and says, is there a problem here? And he said, she said, for one nanosecond, the guy started to stay angry. And then it all just dissipated down. No, she talked about her husband doing that.
I thought, but
But
the husband did that to an Israeli.
Oh, it might have been an Israeli soldier who was intimidating some woman.
Palestinian.
And you know, so it's that idea. Made it perfectly clear he wasn't going to be violent because he had his hands behind his back, but he was going to interrupt the action. And so there's a lot of ways of interrupting. I don't know if you managed to get this up here or not. I don't know if you can see it.
Somewhat.
Turn the light off for just 1 second, because I just want you to see this list. I found this on the internet at a peace site. So these are all the ways you can interrupt. Agreement interruption is you enthusiastically agree. Body language interruption is you verbal signal intent to butt in. Clarification interruption, ask for clarification. Continuation interruption, pick up where they might have left off. Disagreement interruption, disagree with what they said. Disinterested interruption, appears that you're not interested in what they're saying. Distraction interruption, become distracted by someone else. Encouragement interruption, keep them talking. External interruption, use a third party to interrupt. Identity interruption, ask them who they are. Loudmouth interruption, talk louder than they do. I like this one. Motor mouth interruption, jump in and talk quickly. Question interruption, just ask them a question. Power interruption, these are risky. Power interruption, you know, to grab their control. Ask if you can interrupt. Touch them. I don't recommend this one if you don't know the person. And this interruption, yes and, yes but, yes and, yes but. Now, we didn't look at all of those. You can kill that and turn the light back on. We did not talk about all of those. We basically talked about small ways in which you can just energetically interrupt what's happening. And it made me think of this, you have an idea? Oh, no, it made me think of how we went to dog training class. You can learn everything you ever needed to know about people at a dog training class. And these two dogs got in a fight. And they were big dogs. And it happened quickly. And that woman, who was the trainer, ran over in the middle of those dogs and just started screaming. And I'll tell you what, those dogs stopped just like that. So did everybody in the room. Everybody in the room, every dog in the room. But the energy of that fight just fell right to the floor. And her demeanor remained calm in the sense that she wasn't angry. So as soon as that happened, she was like, now, when that happens, and we were all still going, you know? And she reset the boundaries and could explain to us again what needed to go on. So when you can interrupt, often what happens is that energy of what's happening it just stops. Because the person is thrown off. The person carrying that energy is just simply thrown off, like, huh? And then they start to sort of get in a mindset of being able to listen. This power of interrupting is really a really important power. So, power of interrupting is one, and we're going to run out of time, so I don't really think I can show you how to as much about doing this. Where's Becky? She left me? Yeah. She doesn't want to do this anymore.
Oh, this is the baby.
She has the baby. All right. Interrupting, one of the things that interrupting is good for is when someone is going down the road of something that's inappropriate. And we all have been in job situations like that. We're all in conversation situations like that. And what you have to do in an interrupting situation is jump right in. You can't let the person go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And you just jump right in with, I don't think this is appropriate here. Or, they left out one that I thought was really good. Just like hysterically start laughing when it's inappropriate. And everybody looks at you and they don't pay attention to them anymore. So it's that same sort of peaceful way to find a way to just dispel the energy and get the attention off of something. So we've looked at our motivation, our commitment, repeating back what we hear, and interrupting. And now for the most important tool of all. Our fat cells. Our fat cells. In America, fat is a dirty word. And we spend billions of dollars on diets and pills. And I would have been with you until I heard this from Dr. Paul Brand. He said, fat is absolutely gorgeous.
He's a medical doctor who works with lepers in India. And he said, when I perform surgery, I marvel at the simmering, lush layers of fat that spread apart as the body is opened. This is the important part. These cells insulate against cold, provide protection for valuable organs underneath them, and give a full, healthy appearance to a body. I never thought of it like that. He goes on and he said, but these are just the side benefits. The real value of fat is a storehouse of energy. Look at those fat cells are like treasures in the body. When we run or we work or we expend energy, fat cells make it possible. It's absolutely beautiful to observe the cooperation among cells. Dr. Brand is a Christian, and he said this. He goes on and he applies this analogy to the fat cells, of our fat cells, to the body of Christ. And he says, and each of us, in a sense, is a fat cell. We are each a treasure of wealth and spiritual resources. Our challenge is to use those resources for the benefit of the rest of the body. The philosophy applies to everybody because we're all one. So our challenge is to use the greatest tool you will ever have in your toolbox is you. And to use you as the way to start accompanying other people. And that's what this next part is about accompanying. So I never really thought of myself before as a fat cell. But I'm going to start, feeling a little better about that. Because when we take care of each other, we fulfill the greatest divine mission that we have on this planet. So Harvard Medical School conducted this test. And I might have told you about this test before, where it was a pain tolerance test, and they had people stick their foot in a bucket of ice and stand there as long as they could. This is the most amazing thing they discovered in this test, that when someone stood in the room with them, not holding their hand, not doing anything lovey, just in the room with them, they could keep their foot in the bucket of ice twice as long. Twice as long. Imagine. So this isn't just I think that this might be the most, important thing that we need to ever know, is how incredibly powerful just our presence alone is with another person when there's something going on. And this being with people is called accompaniment. And this accompaniment is one of the peacemaking tools. So, when she started talking about accompaniment, I knew instantly what she was talking about, because when I worked for Yellow Umbrella, I would take people to public agencies and government agencies, and sometimes the people in those agencies were so prejudiced against the people I brought in that they didn't talk to them, they only talked to me. And I was just there to drive them there. But no matter how it turned out, they always treated them better because I was there. Because I had people who told me, I've already been there. I've already been to Social Security. I've already been to this agency. I've already been there. I'm like, well, going again. And just my being there automatically had the people at the facility work a little harder, tell the truth a little more about how they might get help. And I saw this over and over and over again with my clients. And so what I know is the power of another person being with you in a difficult situation as actually not just an influence for you, not just a comfort for you, but it also influences the people that you're interacting with, or can influence the people that you're interacting with. Peacemakers go into these zones unarmed, these war zones with people, in very negative situations, to be with them. Sometimes to help them travel through an area of the country where they otherwise wouldn't be safe, but because someone's with them, they are safe. Help them get custody of a loved one back from a military base because maybe these people don't communicate very well and you might need to be there. Or just their presence being there. There's language barriers. There's ways people interact with people that are different when someone else is around. And so just being as a witness, and that's what they often say, that accompaniment is no more than being there as a witness. I am just a witness to the way the world is working for these people. And Peggy tells how her team went to public places every day. They went to orphanages and hospitals and water treatment plants and schools and churches and homes. One reason was to build relationships. Another reason was just simply to show their presence. These people aren't alone. We're here with them. We stand with them. And that made a huge difference in the way things played out as the events went on in the future. Their voices no longer were not heard. The world wasn't allowed to tell stories about them that weren't true because this group of people knew. And this group of people could witness a different truth and tell the truth about their lives. So it limits what people can just simply say and make up rather than what is absolutely the truth. And the truth is necessary in peacemaking, and it's one of the reasons peacemakers go into places. One of the reasons is to discover this truth. Because like I said earlier, you can't get two groups of people to make up with each other if there isn't a truth somewhere that has to be told and found. And so part of what they do is exactly that. So I want to end with a little excerpt from her book, where she says, days before the U.S. bombing of Baghdad, she writes a letter and explains to her family why she's choosing to stay in Iraq. So I hope I don't cry, but I might. Because this is sort of the heart of it. This is the heart of peacemaking. This is the reason why you would involve yourself in peacemaking that doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. I get why you want to make peace with your neighbors and your family and your friends and your local community, but why would you want to just help people make peace anywhere? And this is what she says, because she was in a lot of danger at this point and her family wanted her to come home. So she says, in my time, I'm gonna cry. In my time in Iraq, I have experienced something greater than the power of the military might of the USA. I have experienced the power of love between people of two countries on the brink of war, to break down the label of enemy imposed on us. This power of love cannot be taken away from us or conquered, even if there is war. I have experienced this as these imperfect people with their problems, just like us, open their hearts to us and receive us. Everywhere we go, we have immediately known that we aren't the enemy and have experienced a natural human bond that transcends the power of our governments. And this simple experience is seen as radical and threatening and even subversive to our governments who try to prevent us from coming together. Iraqi people have told us that our presence helps encourage them and keep their hope alive. In turn, it has fed me with hope and encouragement on a deeper level. So one of the more difficult experiences of my life has been one of the richest. It is not that we are doing it, but it has been a gift from God that I have had the privilege to be part of. Courageously and consciously, these are my words now, courageously and consciously being willing to create peace instead of war results in a gift. A divine gift that you have the privilege of being part of. It is the compelling power of love. And that gift is always there for people who create peace. So as soon as we're ready to receive that gift, it's waiting. Because blessed are the peacemakers. They will be called the children of God.
Grateful for your tenderness when I feel unkind. Grateful for the way you receive a knife stuck inside my mind. Grateful for your courage to hold your steady ground. I'm grateful for compassion you turn